This is a real candle actually on Tesla that happened on February 6th at 9:30 a.m. This is EST since stock market moves in Eastern time. And as we know, this is a green candle, very evidently. So the candle started lower and ended up closing higher. Now, as we discussed, we know our points of the candle being this is the low, this is the high. And because it's a green candle, this one is the open. And then we went up and closed up here. Now, the reason why I'm even going over this to begin with is because this is actually a 1 hour candle. So this candle represents 1 hour of time from 9:30 to 10:30 EST. So the candle opened here at 9:30, and we ended up touching the low of this point and then going back up and ended up closing up here at 10:30. So this candle represents 1 hour of time. Our exact prices is right here, and this is exactly taken from TradingView. Now the open is $400.87. This means the stock actually opened right here, and if you match this will end up being 400.87. And then we can see here the close is at 410.14. So at 10:30, we had 410.14, and we could also match that up with the chart right here. Now, the reason why I'm going over this is because this 1 hour candle describes what price did in 1 hour. But what we could actually do with that is we could find the story of what happened inside the candle. How can we do this? By using lower time frames. So in the lesson, we talked about how we could change the time frames to show what each candle represents. This is the 1 hour time frame, so each candle represents 1 hour in this situation. If we move over, this is now the 5-minute time frame. So each one of these candles represents 5 minutes. So this candle, for example, is from 9:30 to 9:35. This candle is from 9:35 to 9:40, and so on. This candle would be the last one in the sequence, which would be the 10:25 to 10:30 candle. So now we took that 1 hour candle and we pretty much zoomed in. So instead of each candle representing 1 hour, they represent 5 minutes. Now, how are we going to decipher this? We know that the 1 hour candle opened at a price and closed at a price. Now, what prices were those? We could go on the chart and actually compare across to what the price would be, and we'll find that it is $400.87, which looks about right here. Now, this coincides with the open at 9:30, which is actually the same thing here of the open at 9:30, representing $400.87. Now, what price did we close at? We could verify that the closing price at 10:30 was up here. And at this price, we have 410.14, which ends up being the same exact closing price of our 1 hour. So now we found out that this chart is breaking down what happened in that hour. So this hour, all we know is that the price opened down here, got to a low at some point, got to a high at some point, and closed here. But when we go down into a lower time frame, we could actually see a little bit more of the story. We could see that the 9:30 candle opened. We may have went down here and went back up, and you could see that the price actually went up early, had this pullback, and then ended up closing right near the highs. This is a story that we couldn't see in the 1 hour candle. All we see in the 1 hour is that the price started off here and ended up here. But when you go into a smaller time frame, we could actually see a bit more of the story and what happened. Now we could go one further. On this chart, we have the 1 minute chart. Now each one of these candles represents 1 minute, and we could break down exactly what we did before. This is 9:30 to 9:31. This is 9:31 to 9:32, and this would be the 10:29 to 30 candle. Now, since each of these candles represents 1 minute, we're going to have a lot more of them, 60 to be exact, since there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. And now we get to see the story even further. So we could see the price we opened at was right here. And this price, what would you guess it would be? It would be this 400.87. And this coincides with the 5 minute open and then the 1 hour open. And what did we close at? On the 1 minute, you could see we closed right up here, and that price, you could see, was 410.14, which is the exact close of this candle, which is the exact close of our 1 hour as well. So you could see when the data is representing 1 hour, you're getting only one side of the story. You're seeing that the candle opened here, got to a low here, and closed up here. When you go into a 5 minute, you could see that we actually opened here, got down at some point within the first 5 minutes, but we don't know when. And then we started going up. We had this section that we did not see in the 1 hour, and then we closed up here. When we break it down even further to the 1 minute, we could see that the first minute was actually a down candle. We can see the first minute was red. And this describes this story right here in the first 5 minutes, and also describes this story right here. So you can see that bottom, which is what we call a wick, actually happened in the first minute. After that, you could see every minute that followed was actually a green candle. And in the 5 minute, we could see this red candle. And we don't know the story behind this red candle, but we could see in the 1 minute that each 1 by 1 candle, what happened. And this is the beauty of the time frames, because you could even go smaller and one step further. One step further could be the 10-second chart, or even more, the 1 second chart. I don't have an example here because you get the point, and we would end up having 1,000 candles for the 1 hour. But you could see how the candles are telling a story the more time frames you bring it down to. So the 1 hour is showing, yeah, this was a good candle. We opened here, and we had a big green candle going up. But what happened in between? You can see in the 5 minute. This is what happened in between. But this also just kind of tells one story. What happened here? Why did this whole thing happen? And what happened inside this first 5 minutes? You can actually see when you bring it down to the 1 minute, this is what happened. The first minute went down, and we actually got bought up right away. Now, interpreting this data isn't super important, but what we need to understand here is that the time frames matter, and the time frames are telling a story every time. You can see this 1 hour story, what it told us, and then we broke down that 1 hour into the 5 minute, broke down that 5 minute into the 1 minute. And you could even keep going further, like I said, down to the 10-second or the 1 second chart, but this is irrelevant for our purposes. But what's important to understand is that the time frames are representing the same exact data, except the lower time frame you go, the more information you get.